I've been working with Stephen Pay at EPR, and we're truly collaborating. You know, I've got a certain set of ideas, but he'll throw in a new idea, or especially with him, he's got a certain look that he wanted of the building. So we've actually been working and researching to go within his ideas as well as mine. And I actually think it's the most collaborative thing that I've done to date. Well, my relationship with Savile is that EPR came to me and said, look at this building on Savile Row. And then my glazes are very high fired. They're 1,260 to 1,280. It's porcelain temperatures. And I phoned all around the country to all the sort of factories of architectural ceramics, people who work in that area, and they all said, no way. Crystalline glazes are too fluid. They'll ruin our kilns. We can't work at those temperatures, no way. And I just kept phoning around, spent a whole sort of day on the phone asking. And finally somebody said, have you tried Rich at Savile? And I just phoned him up, and he was so open immediately on the phone. And he has been key. You know, we've collaborated. Apart from doing the tests here at Balls Pond in London, you know, when we moved over to Savile and sampling in his kilns, his patience, his tenacity and his endurance have been quite extraordinary. And what you do with crystalline glazes, normally glaze is a sort of mixture of recipe of things, like you make a cake, you mix together these things. You heat the kiln to the melting point of that specific glaze, turn the kiln off and it cools, and you have a shiny glassy surface, or sometimes a matte surface, whatever you like. But essentially with the crystals, you control the cooling of the kiln electronically, and the crystals grow in the same way as a diamond or an emerald or a lump of coal even. They're all crystalline formations that have grown in the magma, if you like, of volcanic activity. So the weather changes things, the heat changes things, the humidity changes things, even the sodium chloride content of Thames water, which changes throughout the year, changes the way the glaze behaves. And even when we send it in a van, because we mix the glaze here in London and it's sent to Savile once a fortnight in a van, if the traffic with the van is stop-start, the glaze is shaken in a different way and it arrives at Savile in a different state. And we actually have to sort of roll with the punches, you know. Rich at Savile will phone us and say, it's gone too thick, you know, what do we do? And so really it's been constantly changing with the demands of the glaze, which has just increased my and Helen's knowledge of the way glaze behaves and why it behaves to an extraordinary degree. So we've had to produce over 1,000 litres of raw glaze that's been sent to Savile in batches, and every single bucket of 5 or 6 litres has to be measured and numbered. And Helen, who's been really running the whole research and record keeping of the project and managing the glaze production unit, has actually kept records of every single bucket that's gone. Every bucket's numbered. We can refer back if anything goes wrong or anything has changed to every single bucket. And it's just an extraordinary series of people dealing with things to an incredible level of detail. But the complexities behind it are just really, really a pleasurable thing to experience.